Now, next school.
Good morning, everyone. Am I audible? Please confirm if I'm audible. Okay. I welcome all of you all to this session on Unit 7. So today there are questions that we'll be discussing. Okay, Shrividya, good evening. Okay, Pragya, thank you for confirming. So today we'll be discussing the questions from endocrinology and reproduction. Okay. So if we talk about the importance of this particular subunit, endocrinology and reproduction, so a lot of questions are asked in part C as well as part B. So today we will try to discuss both some very important questions from part C as well as questions from part B. Okay, Shrividya, you're attending for the first time. So we had, like with every unit, every subunit of Unit 7 as well as for each and every unit, we are doing this session. So today it's about endocrinology and reproduction. So you can continue from here. Okay, you will even find the YouTube videos. So the previous ones that you have not attended, you can look into it through the already those YouTube links are there. Okay. So here will be just the question and answer session. So if you have any queries related to the particular question, you can ask me. Okay, so the first question is about endocrinology. So the question is, which one of the following is used in organification of tyrosine residues in thyroglobulin protein during thyroid hormone biosynthesis? So if you see this question over here, no, they have not asked you the function, but the question is particularly from the biosynthesis pathway. So it's again very important. Okay, very good. Ashwarya, you are correct. So for this, we need to know the biosynthesis. Though we know the function of thyroid hormone, okay, we know the regulation of thyroid hormone, but sometimes we skip this part, the biosynthesis part. So if you see this question, it is important. Yes, Anupam, Surender, Pragya, very good. So the right answer, so many of you all are able to solve it correctly. So let's see the right answer. So the answer is option 3. Okay. So now according to this question, what will be the answer? It is oxidized iodine. So which one of the following is used in organification of tyrosine? So here we will first understand what is this process of organification of tyrosine residues, where the answer is oxidized iodine. So what happens exactly, we will understand through this figure. So organification means it is a biochemical process that takes place in thyroid gland. Okay, so it is the incorporation of iodine into thyroglobulin for the production of thyroid hormone. So if you see this figure over here, so this is the blood vessel through which the iodide is being trapped, and this is the thyroid cells. Okay, so inside the thyroid you have the follicular cells that is present. So this is the figure, follicular cells. So this is the periphery and this is the lumen deep inside. So first this follicular cell will take in or trap iodide. So that is the first step from the blood. Now this iodide, it cannot be used as it is. Okay, so it has to be oxidized. So now before oxidation, so where it has to go and bind, so there is a protein that is synthesized in the rough endoplasmic reticulum which gets modified in the Golgi. So there is a synthesis of TGB protein, that is thyroglobulin. Okay, so this thyroglobulin will be, it will be secreted, exocytosis will occur. So it is in the secretory vesicles and it will be exocytosed into the lumen. Now this, if it is iodide, it cannot bind to TGB as it is. So that is why this organification step will occur. okay, where oxidation of iodide by certain enzymes, that is hydrogen peroxidase system, will occur that lead to the formation of iodinium ions, or the oxidized form of iodine. Okay, so oxidation of iodide will take place with the help of these peroxidase system. So once iodide is oxidized, so it now becomes I2. So in this state, iodination of tyrosine will occur. So this TGB protein has tyrosine amino acid. So the iodination of tyrosine is the next step, that is the fourth step. Next step is coupling of T1 and T2. Okay, so here what happens when this iodine is taken inside? So there are certain steps, okay, like first only one iodination step will occur, okay, then the second one will occur. So in this way, T1, T2 will be synthesized, right? So same thing is written over here. So a complex series of reaction occurs in which iodide is oxidized through the action of this peroxidase, that is known as thyroidal peroxidase and hydrogen peroxide, and is attached to tyrosyl residues with this protein. At this point, the TGB molecule contains iodinated tyrosines. Now, if only one iodine is added, so it is monoiodotyrosine, that is T1. And if two, it is T2. So like that, T1, T2 is synthesized. Next, what will happen? Then further, T1, T2 will combine and it will form T3. Okay, and if two T2 combines, it will form T4. So now it gives rise to a colloid, jelly-like structure. So this will be further taken in by the follicular cells. So there will be pinocytosis and it will be taken in the lysosome, and there will be digestion of this colloid. Okay, so what is remaining is now the T3 and T4. So these are the actual hormones, right? That will be secreted into the blood vessel, and it will be transported with the help of a transporter, that is thyroxine binding globulin. Okay, so this is the whole process. Now next time if they ask you which is the enzyme, so you should know that it is the hydrogen peroxidase system. Okay, the thyroidal peroxidase system that actually helps in this organification process. Now next, the second question is again related to endocrinology part. A boy eats a large serving of cheese having high amount of sodium. He hardly drinks and any fluid. In spite of this, the water and electrolyte balance was maintained. Which one of the following explanation is correct? First, his aldosterone was decreased and alcohol dehydrogenase was increased. Second, his aldosterone was increased and ADH was decreased. Third, there was no change in either of the hormones. Fourth, his sympathoadrenal system was stimulated. So can you tell me, Anupam, Ashwarya, just try again. This is not the correct answer. Good evening, Anusha. Srividya, are you able to solve? Okay, very good. Srividya, this is correct what you have answered. Absolutely right. Anusha, good. Anu, Thomas, correct. Okay. So for this question, first you should know the function of aldosterone hormone. Okay. What is the function of this alcohol dehydrogenase? Okay. So ADH is not the vasopressin, okay, not that. It is alcohol dehydrogenase. Clear, students? Yes, Surender is right, correct. Yes, Srividya, that what you are telling ADH is about the vasopressin function. It will not release water, it will absorb water. Okay, so let's see what is the right answer for this particular question. So many of you all have given me the right answer. So the right answer is option 1, students. Okay, so in this case, what is happening? There is the boy is having high amount of sodium, but still there is the water and electrolyte balance is maintained. Means the hormones are playing a role over here, right? Yes, Pragya, very good, correct. So now sodium is high. Okay, now what is the role of aldosterone? Aldosterone, what it does, it absorbs sodium, right? It absorbs sodium. So already sodium is high. So aldosterone effect should be less, right? So that is why aldosterone will be decreased. If aldosterone is high, it will absorb more sodium, right? So in this case, with aldosterone only, you will understand what is the right answer over here. So aldosterone will be decreased. Aldosterone. Okay, because aldosterone absorbs sodium and along with it absorbs water also. But sodium is already high, so aldosterone will be less for this particular question. It will be decreased. Okay, and alcohol dehydrogenase, what it does, alcohol dehydrogenase. So it is an enzyme. Okay, so it's an enzyme that actually works to break down any kind of toxic molecule that is present. Okay, so it is a primary defense even against alcohol or any toxic molecule. Okay, so the high levels of alcohol dehydrogenase in a liver and stomach will detoxify any stiff or hard drinks each hour. Okay, anything toxic. So the alcohol will get converted into acetaldehyde, which is then quickly converted into acetate and other molecules. Acetaldehyde is also toxic, but it will be quickly converted into acetate and other molecules that can be easily utilized by our cells. Thus, in this case, a potentially dangerous molecule is getting converted with the help of alcohol dehydrogenase into something that can be easily used up. So, into a food stuff, we can say, right? Because it can be further used up. So, the right answer for this question, remember, it will be option 1, not 2, because ADH here does not refer to aldosterone. Okay. So, blood has already high levels of aldosterone. So, the aldosterone will be decreased because already there is too much sodium. So the aldosterone has to be decreased according to the situation, according to this particular question. So aldosterone affects the body's ability to even regulate blood pressure. It sends the signal to organs like the kidney and colon. It can increase the amount of sodium the, the body sends into the bloodstream or the amount of potassium that is released. So if it is absorbing sodium, the function of aldosterone is it will release potassium. Okay, so these two are the major functions. The hormone also causes the bloodstream to reabsorb water. So along with sodium, okay, if sodium is getting absorbed to maintain osmotic concentration, even water gets reabsorbed. Okay, so remember this. So all of these functions are integral to increasing and lowering the blood vessels. Indirectly, the hormone also helps maintain the blood's pH. Okay, because it will maintain the sodium and the potassium levels. Okay, and electrolyte level. So that is why the right answer for this question will be option 1. Aldosterone was decreased and alcohol dehydrogenase was increased. So many times you'll see in CSI they ask you questions related to alcohol dehydrogenase. So you should know what this alcohol dehydrogenase does. Okay. So exactly same question won't be asked, but very similar type of questions will be asked. Okay, so is it clear for everyone this particular question? It was a part C question. So just read the question carefully because here you're seeing ADH, but they have already mentioned ADH is alcohol dehydrogenase. Okay, Aishwarya, here it will break down the toxic substances. So like too much of anything toxic, so that will be broken down over here with the help of alcohol dehydrogenase. Okay. So it will detoxify because he's having too much of cheese, right? So anything in excess will be toxic. Clear, got it? Yes, Srividya. So the answer for this question is option 1. Why it is option 1? Because it is already written the boy has high levels of sodium. Now, if sodium is high, means aldosterone should be low, aldosterone should be decreased because aldosterone function is it absorbs sodium. Now, already the body has more of sodium. So, definitely we don't want still more sodium, right? So, we have to decrease the level of aldosterone. Clear? So, that is why aldosterone was decreased. So, this is correct. And then alcohol dehydrogenase will be increased. Why? Because alcohol dehydrogenase in general, what is its function? It will break down any kind of toxic substances in our body. Okay, anything. So here, even if the cheese is taken in too much quantity, so it will be toxic, right, for the body. So it will be broken down into something that can be easily used up by the body. So first, when alcohol dehydrogenase, what it does, it will convert, like majorly its reaction is it will convert alcohol to acetaldehyde, and here any toxic substances also, okay, it can break it down and it can make it into certain substances like acetate and other molecules that can be easily utilized by our cells. Okay, so it will become like a food stuff which can be now used up, whichever toxic substances. Clear? So basically, the liver no, has this alcohol dehydrogenase function. There it will occur. Right, Srividya? Got it? And ADH students, don't get confused. ADH, this is not the vasopressin ADH that they have written. Okay, it is about alcohol dehydrogenase. Okay, Srividya, welcome. So let's move ahead and see the next question. The function of sertoli cells are first a technique that is used to show how a cell or tissue moves and what it will become during normal development. Was developed by Walter Wog as a means by which to trace the development of specific regions of the early embryo to a condition of the blastula in which there are three primary germ layers: the ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. The germ layers formed during gastrulation of the blastula. 3 refers to the initiation or cause of a change or process, such as the production of a specific morphogenetic effect in the developing embryo. 4. A kind of sustentacular cell is a nurse cell of the testis that is part of a seminiferous tubule. They nurture the developing sperm cells during spermatogenesis. It is activated by FSH, that is follicle stimulating hormone, and has FSH receptor on its membranes. So this function is quite clear. Yes, Srividya, you can answer the questions. Okay, so many of you all have given me the right answer. Yes, correct. Anupam, Arzu, Anusha, Anu. So let's see the functions of Sertoli cells. So many times you will see in part C, they'll ask you about Sertoli cells. Okay, so Sertoli cells are also known as sustentacular cells. So the right answer is option 4. Right? So what it does, so it has a large number of functions. Now please make a note of all these functions. So they help in supporting, protecting. So basically it will provide nutrition. Okay, so it acts like a supporting cells. Okay, it is a nurse cell. It supports to spermatogenic cells. So during the development, so during the spermatogenesis process, it plays an important role. It play a role in the paracrine and endocrine control of spermatogenesis. Okay, so I'm sure you all know what is paracrine and endocrine. So these are different types of signalings that occur, right? So paracrine, whenever the molecule is released, it will affect the nearby cells, right? Endocrine is far cells. They also regulate cholesterol metabolism at the time of spermatogenesis. They help in the movement of spermatozoa by secreting fluids. That is another important function in the motility. Okay. They phagocytose apoptotic cells, foreign bodies, as well as they secrete the androgen binding hormone under the influence of FSH, that is follicle stimulating hormone. Another very important function of Sertoli cells is they secrete inhibin hormone that suppresses the release of FSH. Okay, and it also plays a role. It forms a blood testis barrier. Okay, that is another function. So these are the major functions of Sertoli cells. So according to this question, the right answer is option 4. Okay, so let's move ahead and see the next question. So this is from the female reproductive system. The question has been asked. So usually you will say from you will see from female reproductive system they'll ask you graph based questions. Okay, previous year question papers, if you go through, a lot of graph based questions are asked. So it is very important that you go through the graphs. Okay, so just go and check Tortora as well as any other animal physiology book. What all graphs are given related to the female reproductive system? Because usually you'll get questions based on graph. So this question is about a convenient and reasonably reliable indicator of the time of ovulation is usually a rise in the basal body temperature, possibly because progesterone is thermogenic. Of the 4 situations given below, which one is ideal for ensuring pregnancy after intercourse? So can you all try this question and tell me what should be the right answer? Think about the role of progesterone in pregnancy, okay? And it is also mentioned is thermogenic. Mm. Yes, these are Srividya, these are CSR questions only. This is a CSR part C question. Yes, right, Arzu, correct. But the answer that you have mentioned, that is, you have to try again. But what you have written is correct. Its level will increase during pregnancy. Anupam, you need to try again. Surrender, very good, correct. Anu, correct. Little bit you have to think, okay, the progesterone and the body temperature. Because already it is mentioned it is thermogenic. It will be affected by the body temperature changes. Yes, Srividya, correct. Good. Deepshika, very good, correct. Arzu, did you get it now? Ashwarya, correct. Yes, Arzu, correct. Okay, so let's see the answer for this question. The answer is option 1. Okay. So why it's option 1? So let's understand first. So this is the female reproductive cycle, the menstrual cycle. So here you can see the different stages, okay, and the hormones that are released. So it is for around 28 days, right? So ovulation will occur on 14th day. So 14 till 28, if the progesterone is increasing, so there is high possibility, if the female is pregnant, so that time the progesterone levels will increase, and it will be there increased for a longer duration, right, for around 9 months. So in this case, if you see what is happening to the body temperature, so there are changes in the body temperature as well, right? So during ovulation the body temperature increases, and during the next 14 days also it is little on the higher end, right? So progesterone, so this yellow color that you can see, this is about the levels of progesterone. So progesterone level is increasing as well as the body temperature is high, right? What happens to FSH? FSH is decreased, right? It is only increased during the early 0 to 7 days when the follicle development is taking place. Okay, so this graph is very important. So now they have asked you about progesterone. Maybe next time they'll ask you about some other hormones. Okay, so just be sure about these hormones, in which phases they increase, decrease. So here, if you see, this is progesterone. This is estrogen levels will be high, but it will be lesser compared to the second phase, that is from 7 to 14. Then in 7 to 14, the estrogen levels will be quite high. Okay, because the endometrial cells will proliferate. So this is the proliferative phase that occurs. Ovulation, what is happening? The LH will be high. Okay, and FSH levels will be less. You can see over here, LH will be very high. Okay, FSH will be high, but not as high compared to the LH. So now, according to this, if you see the figure, graph is combined. I understand, Aishwarya. That is why we need to practice. So here, the question is simple, but they have made it a little confusing because they have, you have to understand everything. So that is why we need to practice more. So this is progesterone, and this is the body temperature, right? And here is the FSH. So before pregnancy, the FSH will increase. Okay, so this is about before pregnancy. Now, if pregnancy is occurring, so they have already mentioned, right? Which one is ideal for ensuring pregnancy? So for pregnancy means progesterone should be high and the body temperature should be high. No, it is not that much high, Anupam, that you have to take paracetamol. Okay, it's not slight change. Okay, not the normal body temperature. You can see there is 1 degree change. Okay, Pragya got it. The answer is option 1. So that time progesterone will be high as well as the body temperature will be, because when ovulation takes place, body temperature is high. Body temperature actually does not increase during pregnancy, it increases during ovulation, that is when the LH is released. Okay, so what you can think of is, during certain procedures, like if the female is not becoming pregnant and all that, so they can check the levels of the body temperature, and then they can monitor when ovulation takes place, and accordingly they can go ahead for getting pregnant. So like that, so it has that particular role over here. But yes, it gets affected by the body temperature. Okay, it is the progesterone is thermogenic, means during ovulation the temperature will increase, and even during the pregnancy when it is continuing, so progesterone levels will be high and the body temperature will be slightly high, because already during LH, when ovulation occurred, the body temperature was high. Okay, so it is slight increase, it's not that very high, but yes, if you monitor you will see that there is a change in the body temperature. Okay, is it clear, this figure? So just try going through these figures carefully. Okay, because as many students you all are saying that it is confusing. Okay, so you have to understand what they are trying to say. Okay, like if you see other, so here what they have shown, which this is the progesterone, but is the body temperature high? No, right? So this is not correct. Similarly, if you see next, so here they have shown even the FSH is high. Now during no, during pregnancy FSH is not high, otherwise what will happen, the follicle will keep on forming, right? There will be more and more of ova release that will take place. So that is not how it happens, right? Only one will mature. So FSH should not be high. That is why again this is incorrect. Now here if you see that again the body temperature and the progesterone, they have shown it different time. So again this is incorrect. So the most probable answer is your option 1. So that is what, like somebody asked me why body temperature is increasing. So convenient and reasonable, reliable indicator of the time of ovulation is usually a rise in basal body temperature. So this will help to understand when ovulation takes place, and accordingly, if a female has to be, there are high chances of pregnancy that time, right? Okay. So that was about this question. Now let's move ahead and see the next question. So before I move ahead to the next question, so I would like to discuss about the Watson Junoon scholarship that Biotechnica has come out with. So it will provide 1 year coaching for CSI NET and GATE exams, and even for students who are interested in CUET, IIT JAM and GAT-B exams. There'll be 12 months of access to all the national and international workshops that is conducted by Biotechnica, and one can join the R programming internship with live project hands-on. There'll be 4 certification courses, and absolutely it will be on your choice, whichever certification you want, you can select. There'll be direct access to the coaching experts through WhatsApp. You can get in touch with the experts to solve any kind of queries. And one VIP pass to a CRISPR conference. So you can join the CRISPR conference, that is the CRISPR Congress 2023 that will be held. Okay, so you can pass on this information to your friends, colleagues, whoever is interested. So they can apply now, they'll get scholarship. So it's the right time where they can join and they can study and as well as fulfill their dreams of clearing CSI net. So if for more information you can call on this toll free number, that is 1800 1200 1818 or 08050997000. Now let's move ahead and see the next question, that is question number 5. It's about HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin. So it is a placental gonadotropin that controls hormonal secretions from corpus luteum during initial stage of pregnancy. Following statements are made about HCG. A. It is a glycoprotein that contains galactose and hexosamine. B. It is a heterodimer with a larger alpha subunit and smaller beta subunit. C. It is a heterodimer with a smaller alpha subunit and a larger beta subunit. D. HCG is identical to beta subunit of LH and FSH. E. It appears as early as 6 days after conception in blood and 14 days after conception in urine. Which one of the following has all correct combination of statements? So can you try and tell me? So nowadays, if with hormones, they'll ask you, you will see previous year, 2-3 year question papers, they're asking more statement based questions related to hormones. In the last YouTube session also, we discussed some statement based questions, right, related to the hormones. So can you all try this? And they are also asking the structures. So apart from function, we also need to know about the structure a little bit. Not in very much details, but yes, about, we should have some information about the structure. Yes, Pragya. Just try, see if you know this question. You have to find the correct combination. Difficult, not able to solve, students? Okay, Anupam, good, you have tried, but you have to try again. Anu is right. Correct, Anu. Deepshika, yes, you are right. Okay, Ashwarya. 2 and 4 getting confused. Okay. So I'll help you with that. E is correct. Okay. So now you can get it the right answer. Yes, Surendra, right. So the students, the right answer will be option 2 over here for 5th question. Okay, that is A, C and E. So let's little bit discuss about HCG. So it is a placental gonadotropin that controls hormonal secretions from corpus luteum during initial stage of pregnancy. So it is released by placenta, okay, during the initial stage of pregnancy itself. Now, if you talk about the structure, it is a dimer. Okay, it has alpha subunit and beta subunit. So it is a dimer consisting of 145 amino acid beta subunit. And alpha subunit has 92 amino acid. So which one is smaller? It's the alpha that is smaller, right? So it has a smaller, it is a heterodimer with a smaller alpha subunit and larger beta subunit. So C is correct. And the alpha subunit is identical. Okay, so there are some extra informations that you should know. Is identical to that for LH as well as FSH and TSH. And talking about what it contains, HCG contains galactose as their hexose component, and the ratio of hexose to hexosamine means they have both galactose and hexosamine. So that ratio is 2:1, galactose and hexosamine. So again, option A is correct. Okay, so A is correct, C is correct. Now, if C is correct, definitely B is incorrect. Okay, so here what is identical to beta subunit of LH and FSH? So here what is identical? It is not the beta subunit, it is the alpha subunit. That is why even this is incorrect. D is not correct. Okay. Now coming to the last statement. So HCG is human chorionic gonadotropin, also known as pregnancy hormone, because it is made by the placenta cells. It nourishes the egg after it has been fertilized and becomes attached to the uterine wall. So levels can first be detected by a blood test after conception and about 12 to 14 days after conception by a urine test. So as early as around 6 days also it can be identified in blood, but in urine it takes little time, around 14 days. So usually the females after a month or so they check in urine. Okay, because in urine it takes little time. So the right answer will be A, C and E. So that will be option 2. Clear? Got it, students? So should we move ahead? During pregnancy, HCG is detected, whether pregnant or not. Yes, if HCG is detected means the female is pregnant. Okay, if the female has a doubt whether she is pregnant or not, so they'll go for HCG, they'll go for the pregnancy kit test, right? So that kit will actually check in the urine HCG is present or not. Okay, if HCG is present, means female is pregnant. If HCG is not present, means the female is not pregnant. Clear? Got it, Anupam? Okay, Ashwarya, Surinder, fine. Let's move ahead. Okay. Sixth question is again from endocrinology part. It is about catecholamines. Okay, so what are catecholamines? Like dopamine, norepinephrine, epinephrine, right? These are released by adrenal medulla, right? So catecholamines are important adrenal medullary hormones which play a role in response for emergency situations. The following statements are made with reference to this. A. Catecholamines can easily cross the blood-brain barrier. B. Dopa decarboxylase is a soluble enzyme that converts L-dopa to dopamine. C. Dopamine beta hydroxylase is a particular enzyme carrying copper in its active site and it converts dopamine to epinephrine. D. Phenylethylamine N-methyl transferase is a soluble enzyme that is induced by glucocorticoids. So the question is, which one of the following has all correct combination of statements? A and B, B and D, C and D, A and C. Can you all try and tell this? Okay, I think students have already answered. Anupam, Pragya, try again. That is not correct. Surinder, try again. So for this question, you need to actually know about the pathways. Okay, so I'll discuss this pathway. Okay, Anu. Very good. Anu is correct. Good. So little bit, here we have to discuss about the synthesis, how the synthesis is occurring, the role of different enzymes you need to know. Okay, what catecholamines can do, whether they can cross the blood-brain barrier or not. So let's see the answer for this question. The answer is option 2. Okay, that is B and D. So this is the pathway, okay, students, for synthesis of dopamine, noradrenaline, adrenaline, and serotonin. Okay, so in case if they ask you about serotonin, so you'll get the information here as well. So tyrosine gets converted to L-DOPA with the help of tyrosine hydroxylase. Now L-DOPA gets converted to dopamine with the help of L-amino acid decarboxylase. And this dopamine further gets converted to noradrenaline and then into adrenaline. So dopamine to noradrenaline, it is dopamine beta hydroxylase, DBH. And then noradrenaline to adrenaline, it is phenylethylamine and methyl transferase. Okay, that is PNMT. MAO is monoamine oxidase, COMT is catechol O methyl transferase. So tryptophan, so from tyrosine what all is being generated? Dopamine, noradrenaline, adrenaline. From tryptophan you will get serotonin, okay, and 5-hydroxyindole acetic acid, right? So catecholamines are generally unable to penetrate the blood-brain barrier. So they cannot gain entry into the brain except at certain sites where the blood-brain barrier is absent. So statement A is not correct over here because they cannot easily cross the blood-brain barrier. Okay. Then B is dopa decarboxylase is a soluble enzyme that converts L-dopa to dopamine. Yes. So decarboxylase is converting dopa to dopamine. Okay. So the major pathway for dopamine synthesis is from L-dopa. So remember this, they might ask you a question related to this pathway again. So L-dopa is decarboxylation by aromatic L-amino acid decarboxylase. So that is why B is correct. C, dopamine beta hydroxylase is a particulate enzyme carrying copper in its active site and converts dopamine to epinephrine. Dopamine to epinephrine, which enzyme? It is dopamine beta hydroxylase and basically it is PNMT. Okay. So it is not dopamine to epinephrine, is PNMT, that will be the answer over here. Okay, so that is why this statement is incorrect. So glucocorticoids are known to regulate the enzyme PNMT, that is phenylethylamine and methyl transferase in the adrenal medulla that control the synthesis of epinephrine. Okay, so that is why C is incorrect. Dopamine beta hydroxylase is a neurotransmitter synthesizing enzyme which catalyzes the formation of norepinephrine from dopamine. Clear? So D is PNMT is a soluble enzyme that is induced by glucocorticoids. So just now I read that statement where glucocorticoids are known to regulate the enzyme that is PNMT. Okay. So glucocorticoids are released by which gland? So D is also correct, C is incorrect, right? So that is why the answer is B and D. So can you all tell me glucocorticoids are released by which gland? Adrenal, right, Anupam? Yes, correct. So it is the adrenal gland, zona fasciculata. So those glucocorticoids are only helping in the synthesis of enzymes that are further helping in the synthesis of epinephrine, norepinephrine from adrenal medulla. Okay, so you can try to connect like that. Okay, so glucocorticoids are releasing PNMT, that is further helping in the synthesis of epinephrine, norepinephrine. Epinephrine, norepinephrine, where it is being synthesized? In the adrenal medulla. So PNMT will control the synthesis of epinephrine from the adrenal medulla. Yes, Ashwarya, right. Adrenal cortex, correct. Okay, so zona fasciculata is a part of adrenal cortex. Is it clear for everyone, this particular question? Should we move ahead? Okay. Next question is related to Kalman syndrome. So Kalman syndrome generally exists relating to such males. A, they mostly suffer from hypogonadism. B, they mostly suffer from hypergonadism. C, they have higher level of circulating gonadotropins. D, they have lower level of circulating gonadotropins. So which of the following statements are correct? So remember, what is Kalman syndrome? Gonadal dysfunctions. Now you have to identify whether it is hypo or hyper. Try, it is not a difficult question. Simple. Just that you should know what is Kalman syndrome. Arzu, try again. Hypo. 3 and 4 getting confused. Okay. Okay, anyways, you are trying. That is good. Yes, Ashwarya is correct. Yes, it will be hypo, Anupam. So you can now tell me what should be correct. If it is hypo means, if it is hypo, if you all know, then you can easily find out the answer, right? Because if it is hypo, then what will happen to the gonadotropins? There will be less or more. Yes, Ashwarya, Arzu, Deepshika, Anusha, Anupam, Surender. Yes, everybody has answered now correctly. It's correct. So just remember, Kalman syndrome is hypogonadism. Okay. So the answer for this question is option 3, A and D. Because if it is hypogonadism, means the gonadal hormones are less. Okay. So what will happen? There will be lower level of gonadotropins that are released. Right. So LH, FSH, they are less. Gonadotropins from the pituitary, they are less. Similarly, the releasing hormones from the hypothalamus, they are less. Okay, so they have a lower level of circulating gonadotropins. Yes, Prem Singh, correct. Anu, correct. Yes, Anupam low, correct. So, I have some more information. So, Kalman syndrome is a congenital form of hypogonadotropic hypogonadism. Okay, so there will be anosmia. So, anosmia is basically smell, complete loss of smell that will occur. So there is a decrease in gonadal function, which is due to a failure in differentiation or migration of neurons that arise embryologically in the olfactory mucosa to take up residence in the hypothalamus. So there are neurons that are involved over here. So during development, they have to migrate and they have to go to the hypothalamus because hypothalamus cells are neuronal in nature, right? So they serve as gonadotropin releasing hormone neurons. But because there is a means there is some abnormality, okay, where they are not able to migrate, so there will be a deficit in this gonadotropin releasing hormone. So as a result, there will be decreased levels of sex steroids, leading to a lack of sexual maturity and absence of secondary sexual characteristics. Low testosterone is male hypogonadism is a condition in which these testicles don't produce enough testosterone. And LH and FSH function also. LH, so gonadotropin releasing hormone is less. So the gonadal hormone, that is LH and FSH, will be less. Okay, so as a result, there will be hypogonadism. It means as a result, the functions related to LH and FSH will be absent. So LH controls the production of testosterone by Leydig cells, the endocrine cells located in the interstitium of the testis. So this is required for male virilization and in combination with FSH. So LH helps in synthesis of testosterone. FSH, it will trigger and maintain spermatogenesis, that is the synthesis of sperms. Okay, so LH and FSH will also decrease. That is what is Kalman syndrome. So here you can see. So the person can also suffer with anosmia, complete loss of smell, or hyposmia. Okay, less sense of smell. Hypo means less, anosmia means complete loss. So these olfactory neurons, so they are not able to migrate into this region. Okay, so as a result, gonadotropin releasing neurons might not able to migrate. So gonadotropin releasing hormone will be less, LH and FSH will be less. So the gonadal functions will be less. Okay, so in males, testosterone will be affected. In females, it will be progesterone. Clear? Okay, so now let's move on to the next function. So in females, what will be the role of progesterone if it is less? What will happen? Can you all tell me? If progesterone level is less in females. In males, spermatogenesis will be affected and all that, right? Yes, Anupam. So difficulty in being pregnant, okay, or the pregnancy might not continue. So all this because progesterone levels will be less. Yes, Anupam, correct. Okay. Yes, Ashwarya, right. Sterile, correct. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Yes, Deepshika, correct. Conceiving problems, right. Okay, because progesterone only helps in maintaining the pregnancy. So this question is again a graph-based question from female reproductive tract or the cycle. The graph represents relative plasma concentration of hormones A and B during reproductive cycle in a normal female. Which one of the following combinations is correct? So can you all try and tell? Yes, yes, Anupam. Yes, definitely hormonal therapy can help. Okay, but the doctors have to actually find out what is the reason why the female is not able to conceive. Okay, so it will take some time, but yes, hormonal therapy does work. Okay, Surinder, correct. Others, try. It's a very similar question, right? Related to what we saw, another CSR question was asked. Ashwarya, try again. So that same graph you have to remember and you have to answer. Yes, Anupam, right. I forgot just now we discussed. that graph, the previous graph. What happens during ovulation? Yes, correct, Ashwarya. Now you are right. Okay, Karen, that is correct, what you have written. Anusha, correct. Deepshika, right. So you can see from one graph, they can ask you many questions. Right, so you should be very thorough with the graphs. So just go through all the graphs that are present related to female reproductive tract. Okay, so the answer for this question is option 3. So A is FSH. So this dashed line is FSH. And B is LH. So whenever you see this graph-based questions, first see the axis. Okay, sometimes if the axis is different, then also the answer becomes different. But here on the x-axis, it is the days of female sexual cycle, and on the y-axis, it is the relative hormonal concentration. So on 14th day, the level of LH increases. So that leads to ovulation. That also they have mentioned. So ovulation will occur only when LH is high, right? That is why definitely B is LH. And A FSH levels also increases. Okay, but estrogen levels will decrease over here during ovulation. Initially it will be high, but then it decreases. Okay, so that is why the A option will be your FSH. FSH is high, but it is not as high compared to the first phase, that is the menstrual cycle phase. Okay, and compared to the LH, so FSH will be less, right? So that is why the option 3 is correct over here. A is FSH and B is LH. Clear, everybody? Are you all getting it? So for this, you need to just remember, this is very important, this graph. So it has all the details about what is happening in the ovarian cycle, what is happening to the body temperature, whether it is increasing, decreasing. So you can see during ovulation, body temperature increases, and throughout pregnancy, it will be high. Okay, so when the fourth phase, luteal phase, when the endometrial cells are proliferating, so that time also when the progesterone levels are high, so the body temperature is high. Then what is happening with the anterior pituitary hormones? So LH, FSH, you can see their levels. So this is the 14th day. The 14th, the LH is high, FSH is high, but less compared to LH. Ovarian hormones, what are the ovarian hormones? Estradiol and progesterone. Okay. Estradiol is an example or a type of estrogens. Remember, don't get confused. Okay, estradiol is a type of estrogen. Okay, the female hormone that helps in the female secondary reproductive structures. Okay, so all that is the function of estrogens, secondary sexual characteristics. So all that are the functions of estradiol. So estradiol is released by which part of ovary? Do you all remember? And then here also about the uterine cycle, what is happening in the uterus. Okay, so here endometrial cells are shedding, and then again they are proliferating under the influence of progesterone and estradiols. So estradiols, from where they are released? Any idea? So ovary is written, but from where? Anupam, right? Very good. It is not corpus luteum as such, okay, because here you can see corpus luteum is formed after ovulation. So before ovulation, from where it is released? Can you all see this figure and try to find it out? From where estradiol will be released? Before ovulation? No, before ovulation. Okay, after ovulation, definitely corpus luteum will play a role. Majorly, it will release progesterone. But yes, some levels of estrogens also it can release. But corpus luteum, when it is formed after ovulation, right? What about before ovulation? That time where? Yes, Surender, very good. It is theca interna cells. Do you remember, students? Theca interna, theca externa. Okay, so theca interna will release the estradioles. Okay, surrounding the, so this follicles, they're surrounded by theca interna and theca externa. So the interna cells are releasing estradiol, which is a type of estrogens. Yes, granulosa will be inside. Okay, surrounding the granulosa, you have this thecal cells. Okay, Ashwarya. Okay, then. So that was the last question for the day. So before I leave, just share this information with all your friends about the Watson Junior Scholarship so that every one of your peers, your friends, juniors, colleagues, they can use this opportunity and they can also clear CSI net. Thank you, everyone. So tomorrow we'll again have a session and further we'll be discussing more questions tomorrow. Thank you.